Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Native Women in Film Conversation Series today. We have this year for our 26th Red Nation International Film Festival, 27 films directed by women, some Native Indigenous women and some non-Native Indigenous women, but altogether allies. And we're a very inclusive film festival who recognizes the importance of amplifying our storytellers and our voice in regards to our way of life. And we're not of lack of content, let me tell you. We have content to last for 5,000 years. So I'm really honored and feel very blessed to have the women that we have today for this conversation series. We have two of our partners, two of our RNCI partners with us, and I will introduce them to you now. This is Jeanette from Kruvi. She's the co-founder of Kruvi, and we'll go into that. And we have Michael from our Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. Welcome to the conversation. I'm so excited about the partnerships that we've created. The Red Nation Celebration Institute's foundation is all about partnerships and being inclusive, because we all need each other. And there's one thing that we all have in common. We all have red blood, even our animals. So there you go. Jeanette, can you share with us your platform of Kruvi, and then I'll share about the RNCI crew.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janelle, for having us here. This is really exciting, and congratulations.
Oh, by the way, Jeanette is a filmmaker. She's a producer and awesome. Her resume is from here to Mexico, let me tell you.
Yeah, my business partner and I, Marcy, had a problem several years ago where we were trying to find people around the world and balance our crews and be able to be accountable to that without guessing at how people wanted to self-identify. So we found two amazing coders who became our business partners, and they're both female, who helped us build Kruvi. And Kruvi is a worldwide platform that allows you to search for people on how they self-identify and create a project, and that project will give you the analytics back of how you've hired on your crew. And that will feed directly into, we're an official partner with the Academy. We're working with Emmys, BAFTAs, the Inclusion Rider, Reframe, all these wonderful programs to show and hold people accountable to how they're hiring and be able to qualify for the new awards that are coming up. So, and it's such a huge privilege to be partnered with RNCI.
Yeah, it's amazing. So in November of 2015, RNCI partnered with the American film market. And there were only at that time 2 film markets happening in Cannes and here in November, American Film Market. So we partnered with them during our festival in 2015, and we created the Native Film Market. And what we learned from that experience is that, well, 400 distribution and production companies attended that event. It was extraordinary. It was a huge success. But what we learned from that experience was that all these distribution companies and production companies, looking at all of these posters that we had up of all these films throughout the years, they would be standing there going, oh, I can't wait to see that film. I can't wait to see that film. And I would say, well, that film came out in 1957. That film came out in 1967, you know? And so what what we learned from that is that we have a long way to go in educating about our Native Indigenous stories, right? And the talent that we have. So when the pandemic hit, we decided to move forward with our RNCI crew. And what RNCI crew is, it's a platform for behind the scenes and below the line talent, because a lot of our, oh, here's Bridgette, a lot of our Native and Indigenous talent may not want to be a director or an actor or an actress, right? And so behind the scenes is every day. It's like everyday living. Like we need a crew that knows how to paint, that knows how to build a house, that know, you know, script supervisors, all that. So we partnered with Kruvi through how we met Kruvi, how we met Jeanette and Marcy was through our 399 partnership with the union. And it was an extraordinary collaboration. And Kruvi already has this huge platform, this database. So we really didn't have to hire people and raise the money to create a whole system. Why we recreate the wheel, it's better to partner, right? Because it's being more inclusive. So make a long story short, we're partners with Kruvi, and all of our Native Indigenous crew can go on Kruvi and look up RNCI crew and sign up. And this way the studios and everyone will be able to see if they want to be more inclusive on their sets, they can hire you.
Well said. Thank you, Janelle.
Yeah, and Kruvi is the largest platform in the industry for this. There are some that have come up, but behind the scenes, the industry is only looking at Kruvi. Just saying. That's what the word is out there. So I'm excited and honored to be working with you, Jeanette and Marcy. It's amazing.
As are we.
And then my dear friend Todd Christensen introduced us to Michael at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and we launched our first event this summer at Indian Market in Santa Fe in August, when our festival goes on the road. And Michael has been a great source of partnership and collaboration, and there's going to be so much more to come in the coming years. But welcome, Michael.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. I appreciate it.
Would you like to say anything about the partnership?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So my name is Michael Lucero, and I am from the Pueblo of San Felipe here in New Mexico. And I am the Director of Guest and Entrepreneur Experiences at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. We are pretty much the gateway to the 19 Pueblos of New Mexico. We also support our other Indigenous community partners with the Navajo Nation and the Apache. And so, you know, as many of you might know that New Mexico is just embodied with, you know, Indigenous land, Native American lands. And so when you come to Albuquerque, we really are at a place where we really present the gateway to the Pueblos. And what we've decided to do with our entrepreneurship program is have food and film sort of be our niche with what we do. And so we've been working with also ag to incorporate that component with the food portion of it. And we also are developing a teaching kitchen. But in 2 years, we're going to open a makerspace, and it'll be called the Indian Pueblo Opportunity Center. And there, Indigenous artists and filmmakers can come and sort of polish their craft and really, you know, get embedded with the work that they do with support from, you know, our organization. And one of the most important things is with the film portion of it, we are creating what we're looking at is the hub to the 19 Pueblos with the film portion of it. So when film companies want to come into, you know, New Mexico, and there's already many established, but if they want to film in certain, you know, Pueblos, then they can kind of come to us, and then we'll connect them with the Pueblos and you know, proceed that way. And you know, we've had people, come to me and ask, hey, Michael, can you help me find a pueblo I'd like to shoot on? We want to build a set. We want to leave the set there so they can use it, for other, films or however they choose to use it. And so, we're really just getting our toes wet with this, but we're looking forward to really, creating some momentum and coming up with something positive here.
So one of the things that we created along with the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center is that last summer we launched the New Mexico Native Film Commission. And the Film Commission is exactly what Michael is talking about. So the partnership is really wonderful, and we'll talk about that at another conversation series.
Right.
So, well, I'd like to officially introduce myself because I haven't done that, I realize. Donche Oyante Wianka Poen, people who see this woman, Janelle Romero, Conce. I introduce myself in my Apache language, and I have a Lakota traditional name given to me by Chief Leonard Crow Dog. And so I'm going to introduce all of our wonderful women filmmakers that I'm so excited to have this conversation with today. Welcome, ladies. Okay, so
hello.
Hi. Okay, so let's see, how shall we start this? I'm going to go as I see it on the screen and recognize everyone as I see it on the screen, and then we'll start the dialogue. I'd like to introduce to everybody Madeline.
Yes, Madeline. Yeah, thank you. So, Tansanua Kumaganak, Madeline Nisnakasan, Sakaski Squintate Kawin, Sakatawakutse Nia. So I just said, hello, my friends. My name is Madeline. My traditional name is Strong Earth Woman, and I'm originally from northern Saskatchewan in a Métis settlement called Isle La Crosse. And my mother also comes from Canoe Lake Cree Nation, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I'm currently on the Stalo territory. And yeah, I'm just very grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
And you had a gorgeous film in our festival, and the title of her film is Dancing Through. This is wonderful. And it was a nominee as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Our next filmmaker is Jaja. And Jaja was also a nominee.
Hi, everybody. I'm joining you from Los Angeles. I'm a descendant of the Seneca Nation, Cattaraugus Reservation. I'm so excited to be involved in this panel and the film festival for the second year now.
Alumni. Woo, woo. Then we have Poke Salmon.
Pake salmon. Pake.
Poke.
Yes, pake. Aloha mai kako. O Valkoino o Pake salmon. Mahalo nui loa for having us here. Basically what I said was just aloha, and my name is Pake Salmon. Anyways, I'm a Kanaka Maoli water woman, which is like I'm a surfer, a diver, a fisherwoman. And it's just hard to place that in that's the Western concept, but we are Papahe'enalu, the people of the sea, the Keiki Okekai, the children of the sea. So aloha, and thank you for having us and a part of your festival.
And your film title?
Mana I Maoli Ola, which means life, the power, the divine power, and the power of us in our bodies. The Maoli, the power, life source.
And with your film, we also have the writer with us, who's a dear friend and a winner at our festival a few years ago. I think it was 2018. Bridgette Tillerman.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? How are you? I'm so great to be here. I think Red Nation is a wonderful film festival. I can't say enough good things about it, and how you really wanted to hone in on the power of filmmaking for women and Native women. I'm also, I'm adopted into the Omaha tribe. My Omaha name is Ignasova, which means sacred pipe, and just glad to be here. And it was a real pleasure to work with Pake and be the writer on her film. Thank you.
Bridge.
I'm happy you're here, Bridgette, this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I would like to introduce, next on this is Paulette. Hi.
Hello, at Guarawaradu, Sewa Guego, Gastosero Guate Yongyat, Ganige Haga, ni Wakwanjoda, Danu Wehikotne Aze, Danu Oswego, and Tekidarun. So I'm Gastosero Guate Paulette Moore. I am Mohawk, so I'm happy to see my Seneca cousin on here. And I live both in Ashwaubenon in Six Nations of the Grand River and in Isleta Pueblo. So it's nice to see San Felipe, Michael from San Felipe Pueblo. And my movie is Veronica. It's a crazy documentary drama with a comedy twist. And it's about the embodiment of not just the coronavirus, but of the ills that we're engaging in the world and how our Ongwe indigenous ways of being respond to that. So thank you for this forum and thank you for the festival. And it's so nice to see all the other filmmakers as well. Nyawagoa.
Next we have, oh my goodness. Okay, so I hope I don't mess this up. Veronica. No? I'm not even saying it so well. She doesn't even recognize it. Okay, so let's see. Let me try it again. I want to say Veronica, but it's not.
Oh, my movie, Veronica.
No.
Oh.
No. Our next filmmaker. Yeah. I'm just going around in the circle here.
Is this me? I feel like it's me.
It's you.
Okay. Maloni, Manueteaho, my name is Valeria, and I am a Ukrainian filmmaker, and the movie that we're so grateful to have in the festival is called Maheleo Otealoha, and it's a short documentary about a Tokelau family living in New Zealand.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having us.
And next is Rebecca. And Rebecca and her husband, Josh, are known filmmakers. They directed Fuel and Kiss the Ground, which received our Chief Dan George Award last year. And this year, Rebecca and Josh received the Janelle Romero Humanitarian Award for their work as filmmakers and bringing a spotlight onto rejuvenation, about the earth, about connecting with our Native Indigenous peoples. I could just go on and on. Their work is extraordinary. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Jonelle. I'm so excited to be a part of this conversation with all of you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. And definitely Josh and I, we are deeply committed to being an ally and really participating in bringing rights to Indigenous people. And we're lovers of this earth, and we're learning too how to care for it. And that's what our focus is.
And Rebecca's film this year is The Revolution Generation.
Revolution.
Sorry, Revolution Generation.
Yes, and one of the things that we focus on in the Revolution Generation is the protest at Standing Rock. We had the opportunity to help to tell Chief Arvo Looking Horse's story through film, and he came here to our home in Ojai, formerly Chumash land. I'm not going to say formerly Chumash land, period. It is Chumash land. And we had our eyes opened as he shared with us about the Black Snake and the prophecy of the Black Snake. And then 2 short years later, when the Dakota Access Pipeline came to be, we felt called to help, and we brought with us, I don't know how many, 20 terabytes of hard drives to Standing Rock, because one of the biggest problems was storing all of the footage that was being lost and captured, and it was freezing, there was technical problems. And so we were able to help gather that footage and put it in one place and then redistribute it out. It's ended up in multiple films about Standing Rock, and some of that footage ended up in our film, The Revolution Generation, as a really important milestone for young people rising up and taking a stand.
Thank you, Rebecca. Our next filmmaker is Rio.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rio Castañeda. I'm a Mexican animator. I'm coming to you live from Washington, D.C. or Anacostan land. And I'm so excited to be here amongst such talented women. And thank you so much for having me.
And your film title?
My film title is Mis Manos Tejedoras, or My Weaving Hands, or Chocholaba Li Comtake.
And My Weaving Hands won Best Animated Short. And Rio, your film is so gorgeous, and everyone, like even our hosts, Crystal and Cloud, they were watching the trailer and they were like, oh my God, I've got to see it. It's so
Thank you
good.
so much.
It's so good. And I don't know what the guidelines are with the Academy, but it should be entered into the Academy. Did you do that?
I have not yet, but now that you mention it.
Please, I encourage, moving forward, I encourage all of you to really consider entering into the Academy, because it's lonely here. I'm the first and only, but not the last, Native filmmaker to be shortlisted for an Academy Award. So enter your films. And my film was, in the year 2000, and the Academy is what, almost 100 years old, or is it 100? So enter your films, everyone. It's important. And I know that others have in the last couple of years, but didn't make the short list or get nominated. And it's time that we really push this envelope in a very big way. Okay, so let's have a conversation. Madeline, can you tell me about, your film Dancing Through, and how you came about to, this is your first time as a filmmaker, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gorgeous film, gorgeous.
Thank you. So Dancing Through is about my journey with a cancer diagnosis. And one of my friends, Anika Siskakis, who is a amazing human being and such a powerful ally, we became friends when I went through the cancer diagnosis, and she's has been a filmmaker for a long time. And she said, do you want me to follow you around with my camera? And I was like, sure. We don't know what's going to come of it. And then during that, we started coming up with ideas. She came to all my appointments with me after the mastectomy surgery, all of my doctor checkups, when I had to see the radiation specialist, like all of that. And she did all the follow-ups with me. And then we started thinking, okay, well, we can turn this into something, because the title came right away for me because I danced through it. I'm a Métis jigger, I'm a fancy shawl dancer, I do contemporary dance. And for me, I was like, this is my medicine. Dance has always been my medicine. And I want to show that, yes, we go with the Western medical system at times when we need to, but we also have our ways. We have our cultural ways. We have our indigenous, ways since time immemorial. And in our ceremonies, we dance. Every ceremony has a movement. And for me, it was really important to show that when you dance, you bring yourself to this balance. You bring yourself, when you do yoga and you find that balance and you meditate, in our ceremonies, we do the same thing, right? We try to bring ourselves to this state of here so that when we pray, the prayers go up. So for me, when I dance, it literally helps me, gives me those feel-good feelings. And they always, whoever it is that's out there, scientists say, create those feel-good feelings. Create those, because that's the place, the elevation where you're going to heal. You're going to heal yourself and you're going to heal others. So it was important for me to show that. People might look, you're just a dancer. And I'm like, just a dancer? Hold on. Right? Like, I'm going to share this energy. When I dance, it's about that energy. And so I wanted to share the power of dance and our, specifically our dances. So that's kind of how the film happened. I did create a short film before that called Sukaski Squeal, which it was a 5-minute short where I had a mastectomy surgery and I had no breast on one side and I body painted myself. And the importance of that was to show that in body dysmorphia, in losing a part of ourselves, because this is a very feminine part, right? Like, it's how we feed babies. It's, like, it's just, we're told that this is what we have to look like as women. I wanted to honor myself and show other people who have lost parts of themselves to say, we are still beautiful. We still have this armor. And it really helped to heal me. So during this process, it was very healing for me to do that. And in our ceremonies, we don't say we lose things, we offer things to ask for what we want to receive. So when I lost my breast, I said, no, I am offering this to you. I'm giving you a flesh offering to open the doorway in the portal to receive every single prayer that I've ever prayed for. And it's been happening.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you for that. That's a powerful message. Words matter. Words matter of how we talk to ourselves. Words matter on what we say to ourselves, right? That internal dialogue. So it's great that we can learn to redirect words and not commit violence on ourselves, but change the dialogue within our spirit. So we can shine.
Yeah.
So, Zaza?
I might have some tears in my eyes after that, Madeline.
Yeah.
Sorry. Very touching.
So both your films from last year and this year are really profound. I love this film this year, and your son is the lead in it. Yes?
He is, and I think he did such a great job. I'm so proud of him.
Could you tell us a little bit about the creative process and why you wanted to tell this story?
Sure. So, so far, all of my films have been silent films, and that is based on the premise that actions speak louder than words. I'm also a huge fan of the silent film era and French New Wave and just classic Hollywood films. So they've all been black and white so far. I love the aesthetic. But for me, every story that I write, it is a collective storytelling in that I take a little bit from things I've experienced myself and things that I've seen occur with family and friends and just the world. But this one in particular, I would have to say is a little more autobiographical. I did, my film is called Jpromet, by the way, which means I promise in French. And I do not speak French, so I'm probably not even pronouncing it properly. And a little history on why my film titles are French is because I have a gutter mouth and my daughter always says, "Excuse my mom's French." So a little insight on me. But this story was very personal for me because it's based on nightmares and like the lingering feeling that you can have from having nightmares, and how it can kind of haunt your day. And also about being a latchkey kid and just being home alone while your single mother is working and trying to provide for the household and make sure you have food on the table. So it was, it's really weird because every film that I've made so far kind of takes on its own life force. It's like you imagine a story, you put it on paper, and then you turn it into a script, and then there's what you actually shoot, and then what you edit, and then people's interpretation of it, right? So it's like alive. But instead of trying to explain my films, I really go more for the feeling that it brings out in each individual who views it. And it's more important for me to hear people's impression of it and what memories it might trigger or what feelings it brings up. And it's, for me, it's very therapeutic to make these films. It's very healing for a healing process for me to purge myself of some of these thoughts that I've had for my whole life and make sense of things.
Fantastic. Yeah, everybody should, well, there's everyone that's will experience this show today at 3 on all of our social media platforms. I encourage you to see all of these films, and you can at our festival site, rednationff.com, and you can purchase a festival pass and watch them for the next 2 weeks in your home with some popcorn or at dinner or breakfast or whatever. Invite some friends over, have a watch party. But I encourage you to see these films. They're all so beautiful. Okay, let's move on to Poke.
Okay.
Pake.
Yes.
Pake.
Hey.
Pake.
Hey, aloha. So our film, Mana I Maoli Ola, Bridgette can chime in with me as well, Bridge.
Yes.
But basically,
Hello.
it was a corporate video for like the largest Native Hawaiian organization. But it's like in Hawaii, it's really difficult because we're under occupation of America, of the United States. And a lot of people like don't understand really what's happening in Hawaii. But anyways, the film was just about like the health disparities, education. What else, Bridgette? Education.
Economics was really important. Yeah, economics, the environment. I think the economics was really interesting because they were rebuilding their traditions and trying to make businesses out of their traditional, whether it be traditional food, fishing, and what else was there, Paki?
And education as well. You know, there was like little sections that the organization needed to, you know, let the Hawaiian people know, as well as the whole state, let everybody know for their 15-year strategic plan. And the Native Hawaiians, we're like in such a bad state. Like we're not doing well. And so like this organization just wants to put it out there that, you know, these are the goals that they have for the next 15 years to try as much as possible to change the outcomes for the Kanaka Maoli. And yeah, so that, you know, the film, it's good, it went far. But the most important thing for me, for my culture and my people and heritage is that like more people need to know the distress that the Hawaiian nation is under. And good, there's organizations who are gonna do A, B, and C, but at the end of the day, like we need to see action. So this film is actually gonna like, for the organization as well, be like, okay, you guys did this film, and now, okay, let's see your progress for the nation. And so that's what it was all about. It's very beautiful. It's Hawaii, and it really touches on like on our strengths culturally and what we're trying to rebuild and learning traditional ways of being once again. And yeah, what else, Bridgette?
I just want to say how impressed and dedicated I found the participants in the film that were clients of OHA, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And it's just to see the educational part, the environmental part was really, I mean, it really was, I just think it gave a lot of hope to Hawaiians that you have such a stellar community of these people that are carrying on their traditions and their way of life and wanting to go back to that way of life but still live in the modern world.
Why did you decide to take this on? I mean, it's obvious, but I mean, like what inspired you to, because to make any movie today and get a finished product out there is a huge, huge commitment, especially if it's political.
So for
and
me,
environment.
so for me as the director, being asked to direct this film, at like, for me, being Native Hawaiian and knowing the history of like our struggle, and also being like coming into the Hawaiian Renaissance, where they're like, I don't know if you guys know Hanani K. Trask, but all these Hawaiian leaderships, Frenchie de Soto, powerhouses of Hawaiian women who wanted justice for Hawaiians. For like 30, 40 years, we've been going through this, and we've been resisting the United States of America. I mean, they are dominating us and like, you know, pretty much erasing our culture. And so when I was asked to step into this, I knew that, okay, we need to inspire the organization, all the people who work for the organization, but also the residents and the Hawaiians, but also the people who are non-Hawaiian. We need the allies, and we need them to stand up for us, because if the Hawaiians aren't doing well, then everybody else in this islands aren't doing well as well.
Exactly.
So when doing this vision, having the visions for this, you know, it was just all like, it was just to inspire the nation that has been downtrodden, but then also like to capture the abundance of the land and what we're doing now to stand up to resist things like the telescopes, Mauna Kea, to resist what's happening to us in our communities. So kind of like, and you know, Hawaii is so beautiful, and there's so many little nooks and crannies that Hollywood doesn't put into their films. So a lot of people don't get to see that passion, commitment, and culture. So that like having that, I just wanted to put all of that in there. And the team we worked so well together, and everybody just meshed beautifully. And the editing with Jason and Mele as well, and the writing, and you know, John managing as well. Just everything turned out perfect. And Alice too, you know, from OHA, like we couldn't ask for any other better project. Everybody's pretty proud of it, and so is like people in the state who see it. So
Very good. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually was brought in, they put a bid out for filmmakers, and one of the organizers, or the executive producer, contacted me because he knew I did work with Umaha EA, who was what was in the 2018 Red Nation Film Festival that won Best Documentary. And I was really excited to get involved in this project as a writer. I really was so impressed with the real Hawaii. It was so wonderful to learn the real Hawaii, because I've been there 15 years ago, and this is more of a, sorry, I have a dog over there I have to watch. But so it was really just a really great experience to learn the real Hawaii and know the struggles. I've dealt with the Omaha and the Ogallala Lakotas. And I was just really thrilled to be a part of it. And again, it was great communication. We all really we all really clicked together, and we were very passionate about producing a product that told the real story.
Well, you did that. You definitely did that. And it was a fantastic film. I can't say enough about all the films that are screening still at our festival online at rednationff.com. Okay, let's go to Paulette. And your film it's magical, it's hysterical, it's quirky. I want to use that word because it is, yeah. And it's so different than any of the other films that were entered. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it is quirky, and it's such a different genre from what I have traditionally done. I'm a longtime documentary filmmaker. So Veronica is, as you said, this quirky comedy drama. And that came out of just years of making these documentaries. And Rebecca, I was out at Standing Rock as well. And What we saw there was just amazing storytelling in our own voices, but also, just beauty, and then that violence that really was undeniable at Standing Rock. So I made a number of films out there and then came back, and that film has been screening. The films I made out there, The Eagle and the Condor was the documentary that I did out there. And then when the coronavirus hit, I was also in the midst of developing my own organization called the Aunties Dandelion with my business partner, Dr. Karen Hill, who's a physician also from Six Nations. And we were walking every day, and we both have our connecting thread is embodiment, and how we really want to take in our teachings, but also not just keep them up here, bring them through our body and bring them into the present day and live them into the future as well. So around this idea of embodiment, like my heart really was broken after Standing Rock and after, editing those films. Although, like I said, so much beauty came out of it, but I felt like I couldn't make another factual documentary as the coronavirus was starting. And we were in a meeting with a group of Haudenosaunee women across our confederacies. And we heard from our clan mother. I claim her as my own clan mother, but she's not my personal clan mother, Louise McDonald, that she had named the coronavirus a Mohawk name, Gantlazes Gantladarines, in order for us to be in relationship with this illness, understand why it's here, and then invite it to leave. And when Garana Unwe and I heard that, we were just like, boom, what a beautiful embodiment of our teachings and what that does to name something. And thinking about just the quirkiness and humor in our own communities. Yeah. And we used all our community members, all our friends, because we were all in each other's bubble. We didn't wait for funding. We just did it. And we had this great director of photography, Jimmy Canestino, who's based out of Toronto. And he just gave everybody who was involved in it really, and I know a lot of people have this experience, like they really gave of their time and they gave of their energy and their love. And so we felt like it was important to get this message out where Veronica meets up with the Mohawk aunties and they're throwing it back at her, like she's creating chaos in her community and they're laying down the big love on her, not in a way that is squishy, but in a way that, our Mohawk aunties really do. And so that's why we decided to go with that genre. And it was nothing I've ever done really before. And I ended up being the Veronica character. And what Garana Unwe said is, is that it's a biopic in a lot of ways, because I came back to our communities, and the Mohawk aunties had such an influence on me and these, our amazing clan mothers, and ended up going into Mohawk immersion for 3 years and have been, that naming and that language, as you said, Jonelle, of how that changes you and taking that perspective that when we show this movie, that perspective of engaging the coronavirus in a different way, it gives us this other option where we're not just in relationship with sweet, beautiful things. We're in relationship to all of the natural world, and those are our teachings. Right. And so the power that infused in us was so important, and we've been showing it everywhere. We've shown it at McMaster University and universities across the US and Canada, and in different film festivals. And it was just kind of a risk after making my whole life documentaries for National Geographic and Discovery Channel, and then making these series of documentaries at Standing Rock and other engagements in northern Wisconsin, where they were fighting a mine, and successfully, led by the Ojibwe. But this was just, something completely different. So I really needed to do that. My filmmaking really needed it. I needed it. And it's just so much fun to have all of our community members represented and their humor and beauty as well. So.
Well, it's laughter and humor is how we've survived and have gone through so much. And I just keep hearing Haudenosaunee, and I want to recognize I'm a relative of the Haudenosaunee nation. My nephew is over there, so I love our people, and I want to give a shout out to Joanne Shenandoah today too. We really missed you at the award ceremony. Everyone asked for you. Just when you see this,
and prayers up.
Prayers up. Yeah. Okay, so I want to go to Jeanette for a minute. I just want to dialogue with you for a hot second about the films that you've made and the process in being in the industry and having Kruvi and having the connections that you have as a woman director. And the projects that are coming up.
Producer, I'm not directing. I'm happy to
Yep.
support directors.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. It's first of all, you guys, this is amazing. I'm sorry I wasn't there the other night, and I really look forward to seeing your projects. We are very, very strong supporters of emerging talent and people with strong vision and passion, and that's everything that we're for. So my entire career has gotten me to this point where I've played along with the game in order to get to the game where I can make my own rules in it, and love partnering with people who have like-minded, like heart. And that's exactly what we've done with the different areas that we've built. So the company that we have, Catchlight Studios, is really a partnership of 5 filmmakers who've come together to create passion projects that they want to tell in an equitable way. So we're all very conscious of giving back to the crew and making them a part of the proceeds of the project, and being able to uplift people and put them into positions that they might not have had the opportunity or chance in, and help nourish and create that thrive to move forward and excel in their passion and their career and in their chosen field and talent. So that's one side of it. Kruvi is the vehicle that we built to be able to have that tool. And it was something that if we had the need, that we felt other people would have the need. And so love being able to do that and being able to give that to the community and connect people. There's 52,000 people worldwide that are on the platform, and it's the ability to bridge those connections and pull people up into that and find new talent. So that's another side of it. And then the complement to that is a podcast that we do called Catch a Break Podcast, which is all those things that you wish that you would have known before you got into the film industry that they don't tell you in film school. So, and I'm really thrilled that we have a host now who will be replicating it in Spanish. So we're going to have a Spanish side to that. And maybe one day we'll be able to do this and do it in partnership with RNCI and make it in your native language, and have that be able to be a training tool and an outreach for people in your nation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Like, I already know how to. Yes, let's do it. There's a couple of films that have went into the Navajo language, our Dene language, and it's so doable. And I know the company that could do it too. So
lovely.
Let's do it. Okay. All right. So let's go to Rebecca, because I see you have a little one there.
I do. I have a dinosaur. Come say
You have
hello.
a dinosaur.
Come here, little. I have a shy dinosaur who may or may not.
Okay.
My shy dinosaur.
Dinosaur. Okay. So Rebecca, can you speak to the challenges as an ally that you've had in creating your film?
Oh, well, with Revolution Generation, really the premise of the Revolution Generation is that our existing government in the United States does not reflect the views and the values of young people, and that young people overwhelmingly really are concerned about human rights, around equal rights, women's rights, indigenous rights, the environment, and we're not seeing that reflected in the way that our country is being governed. And, most of our movies are really, I guess you would say, like, not political. We try to make our films really about the environmental issue that we're focusing on, whether it's about soil or whether it's about oil or pollution. We've made 15 environmental documentaries and we've steered clear of politics. But when, like I said, we were just so touched by our experience when Chief Arvil came here. And I think we realized that, as we saw what happened in the 2016 election, we realized that we had to just make a film about politics and about how it's not working for people, and how young people really can transform our political system. And the biggest challenge was getting support, because our funders, who, our films don't really make money. They get seen by tens of millions of people, but they're not profitable. And so they have a wide reach, but we've never made our money back on our film, any of our films. But we've reached over 1 billion people, for instance, with our film Kiss the Ground, and we couldn't get anyone to fund this movie. So we funded it ourselves, and we could, since 2015, when we started with this project, it's really been a labor of love. It's been a challenge. We've asked ourselves repeatedly, like, why are we doing this? And I think we kept answering our own question because we can't not do it. We have to do this. This film is too important. It really reflects our views. We've been kind of muted in the past around a lot of these policy issues because we didn't want to be polarizing. And I think with this one, we just said, part of my friends, we were just like, fuck it. We're going to really make a film to empower young people to shift things. And so, we paid to make the movie. We didn't make a dime. We did it because we wanted to activate this, the millennial generation to rise up and make our country's values reflect the values that these young people have. And so ultimately that's what the film is about. And it's just been amazing to see the impact that it's having on people when they watch the film and suddenly they're like, I'm making a course correction in my life, and I'm going to make my life's purpose to make these things that I'm passionate about also what I do with my career. And it's been a challenge every step of the way, and I think it's also been eye-opening. Our experience at Standing Rock, I actually didn't physically get to go to Standing Rock because I was 9 months pregnant, and I was asked not to come because I would have been a liability. But when, the young runners, the Lakota runners came here to Ojai and I got to interact with them, every step of it was, I learned humility. I learned just how to be a guest on this earth here. And how, to invite other people who haven't walked in the shoes of people who are Indigenous to start to consider, like, what does that mean to be an honored guest here on this land? And what does that look like? And how, I don't know. I'm still in that inquiry, but that's what the film is about. It's been a challenge. It's been a labor of love, and it's been extremely eye-opening.
I think because I'm a documentary filmmaker as well, but going into narrative soon. But as a documentary filmmaker, when in 2000, when I directed my documentary short, it was a 90-minute to begin with. And I pitched it in 1994 to everyone that I knew in the industry. And everyone said, how can you make it? The title is American Holocaust. When it's all over, I'll still be Indian. And it crosses our American Indian Holocaust and our Jewish Holocaust. And we talk about it. And it's the last footage of Grandpa Wallace Black Elk and Mildred Clayhorn, who was a prisoner of war with Geronimo. And I had when PBS or anyone would hire me, or ITVS, I would have good cameras and lighting. So I'd use that and document all these interviews. And then I had all these interviews, right? Everyone was saying, it's a 90-minute documentary feature. And at that time in the year, 1999, there was only Muhammad Ali's documentary feature. And everyone was saying, you're not going to make money, we're not going to invest. And, that's still a problematic situation with documentary filmmakers. How do we make our money back? And I seriously think that we need to have a dialogue about that. So I'm going to put that up on the conversation series for next week, because it's under our native film market, because that is a dialogue that really needs to happen. And how do we collaboratively come together to make that a reality and a funding source for that to happen? I think this is something that needs to really be done. But that film, like my film, I did this, I was at the beach with my kids and I was meditating, and they said, just pull all those interviews together and enter it into the Oscars. I didn't do the festival circuit at all. I put all the interviews together, made it a short, and I entered it in and was shortlisted with no money, really, So, I think we're all passionate about our vision and about our films, and we just do it no matter what. And that's just how it is. Sometimes I read something this morning that when you don't follow through with the gifts that you've been given as a creative, it hurts everyone. Yeah. And yourself, most importantly, because then you'll be asking for the rest of your life, what if I did it? What if I did it? So just do it. Just do it. We have our iPhones. We could even do whatever. Just, everything's possible. I don't believe in the word can't. And it's obvious with the work I do. I just keep doing it, no matter what. Okay.
Yeah, with that film specifically geared towards young people, with our first film was Fuel. I think my poster is back there, Fuel.
Yeah.
That film was shortlisted for an Oscar back in 2008. And we made it free for schools, and that played in schools all across the United States. We created called it sustainable curriculum at the time. And, we're meeting people who are in their 20s, who are now in that, in the field of whether, it's renewable energy or whether it's, regenerative agriculture, like people who at a very early age saw our films, realized that that's what they wanted to do. And that's now what they do, over a decade later. And I think that that's with the Revolution generation, what motivated us in thinking, like, even if, it's a challenge, even if it costs us, we knew that it was once it finally, our plan with the film is it's going to 1,000 colleges in the spring. So that is for free. And so we know that that's going to, help, we really believe that it is finally going to help make a difference after all of these years. And that's our goal with it.
Wow. Well, I'll have to have a conversation with you after this, Rebecca, about the school stuff. So Rio, you're the Weaving Hands. Everyone has to see this film. It is animation. I love animation for many reasons, but this film is gorgeous. All of you here, please go on the site. I'll send you all a link to see the films. You have to see my Weaving Hands. It's gorgeous.
means so much. Thank you, Jen. Oh, well, I don't even know where to begin, but basically, this film was my thesis film, my graduation film from Massachusetts College of Art and Design, and it took about a year. But basically, how I started off was it was the middle of the pandemic, and I knew that I wanted to make a story about present day natives, particularly from Mexico, because that's where I'm from. I migrated here in 2014. And ever since then, like my Indigenous pride has been like even higher. I don't even know how to describe it, just like changed everything for me. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a joyous film. Also, I was telling Paulette that I also did a lot of like political, very heavy, radical sort of stuff, especially about the zero tolerance policy that is happening at the border still today. But that was sort of what I was into. But then I was thinking, well, you know, I'm already really sad, really depressed over the pandemic. I mean, people dying in my family and other people's, like, it's just so much to handle. So I was thinking, well, I wanted to do something joyous, something like magical, something pretty to look at, but also all of my work has to have some sort of a, oh, light bulb moment, or, oh, I didn't know that. I should probably look more into that. And that was basically having to do with fair trade, specifically having to do with Indigenous women, because I grew up in a culture in Mexico where bargaining is just so normal, but bargaining to a particular type of person, not just like at an actual shop, but these people that sell on the streets, you would just be encouraged to be like, oh, that, I'm not paying that, less than that, please. And they'd be like, no, but anyway, that's what I wanted to focus on. And oh my goodness, animation is already a little bit very solitary. We don't really go on set, and I really couldn't travel to Mexico. The location is in Chiapas, which is right at the border with Guatemala. And this particular group of women are tzotziles or tzetales. And I wanted to obviously talk to them directly. I'm not tzotzil personally, but I grew up around there, and we have contacts with people, and I bumped into this group called Kinalansetik or Yolom Mayatik, and they are women-led organizations that have advocated for their own intellectual properties for like a decade at least, and so inspiring, and wanted to work with me. And they were always surprised that I every single time I would have a conversation with somebody that had to do with the film, be like, oh, I didn't know that you were a girl, they would say, or a woman. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I'm glad I am able to change your mind or whatever. So it was such a great project to work on with friendly and more than willing women to tell about their experiences. I mean, we would have Zoom calls, and something that probably wouldn't be able to happen if it wasn't a pandemic, you know? Now everybody was able to speak and tell their stories and their experiences. So that was also such a pleasure. And I don't think I'll ever have that again. I mean, I wish. It was so special to me. And yeah, that's about how it was going.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that you made this film, and it won, you know, Best Animated Shorts this year. And so you need to send the address so we can send you your award.
Absolutely. I got you.
Yeah. You're in the office.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So our next filmmaker is, okay, so you know, my pronunciation is really, really bad. So please, no disrespect, introduce yourself, please.
Valeria.
Valeria. See, my tongue doesn't go right.
It's just like instead. Yeah, it's fine. No problem. I'm not, not offended or anything.
Okay, I'm gonna try
Valeria.
Valeria?
Or Valeria, if that's easier.
Valeria. I could do Valeria.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
I could do Valeria.
Perfect.
There we go.
No problem.
Can you share about your film?
Sure. yeah, I don't even know where to start because it's quite a journey how I got to making that film. As I mentioned, I'm Ukrainian and I did not have any relationship to New Zealand or Tokelau until I made my way there a little bit over than 2 years ago. And I got to meet this wonderful family, Meli and Avito, that are part of the film and whose story we were so lucky to share. And, you know, Tokelau is one of the smallest nations in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They are a dependent territory of New Zealand. So there is this ongoing relationship between those countries. And, you know, when I got to just sit down, have a cup of tea with Meli, and she basically told me her life story. She told me the reasons they had to relocate from Tokelau to New Zealand in the 70s. They were, you know, they spent their whole life until then on the islands. They didn't know a different way of life. So basically when they got to New Zealand in the 70s, that was a completely different world to them. It wasn't, you know, it was nothing like me going to New Zealand nowadays or me, you know, traveling to Canada or States. Of course, things are different, but it's not that different. For them, it was a complete shock trying to get readjusted and trying, you know, to having left their parents on the islands to just figure out how they're gonna, you know, build their life in New Zealand now. And I was so touched, and I was also very moved by the courage parents have in order to do something for their kids. The reason for them moving to New Zealand was one of their sons was blind. So they were pretty much persuaded by New Zealand Kiwi white Pakeha doctor that maybe they should, you know, relocate to New Zealand and maybe they can help him with his health there. That didn't happen, but they did, you know, they did stay in New Zealand. So I was sort of thinking, wow, what a powerful story. And I saw that it just deserves to be, you know, it just deserves to be told. And I've always been interested in stories that are not represented enough, stories that you don't see. But I also think we build this very particular bond with the family that I think can be a good foundation for this kind of partnerships and collaborations in filmmaking. I think things can be done right between, you know, a filmmaker who is coming from a very different culture and a very different background and the people with whom you're making a film. I think you can do it with the right values. And I think you can also, this kind of storytelling can enrich each other and also inspire the community, inspire their family members to not be afraid to share their stories. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, that's more of a little summary and a bit of information, because I know that everyone is familiar with, you know, with Tokelau and their whole kind of ongoing relationship between New Zealand and Tokelau.
Okay, so thank you. So we're close to wrapping our conversation up. So I'm gonna go around the circle again, and I'd invite you. What would you want to let the world know? An inspiring, encouraging words for the up and coming women filmmakers, for, you know, our professionals that might have said, oh, how can I make an, you know, I don't, you know, what will it take for me to get inspired again to make it, just some hope, some encouragement, some inspiration. Because as life givers, I think we have a responsibility to support each other, women supporting women, because our youth are watching us, they're listening, and they're paying attention. And I'd like to, me personally, moving forward, I'm a grandma of 3, and I really would like to move forward in giving only positive, encouraging, inspirational messages for our youth, and empower them. And let them know they could do and be whatever they want, and there's no such word as can't. That's one thing my mom gave me is she always said there's no such word as can't and that everything is possible. Jeanette?
I would say be proud, self-represent, and pay it forward to the next generation so that they have a pathway to follow.
Madeline?
Thank you. I think for me, coming from the north in the bush, you know, it's like access to things. And what I was taught by my elders and my dad is that we forgot how to listen and to listen. The things that we ask for, the things that we pray for, they show up, but we always have this expectation they're going to show up in this grand way. And if they don't, we say it didn't show up. But when we pray for medicine, they start growing around our house. But we always end up going farther than around our house to look for what's going to heal us. So really to learn how to listen. The trees tell us, the waters tell us, the wind, the rain. I'm right now currently in Chilliwack, BC. I'm stranded here with the slides. There's no roads. We're flooded. And you know, I'm listening. I'm staying put. This is where I'm supposed to be. There's a teaching in this, and just to really, really listen. It could come in a TV show. It could come in something you read. It could come and you see this beautiful flower on a belt and you're like, oh, that's it, right? And those ideas and those things that you want to create, the answers are all right in front of you from here to here. Oh, Marilyn.
Jaja?
Well, I absolutely agree with you that we need to encourage the youth and the next generation. But I'm also here to say that we can encourage other middle-aged women like myself who, when I became a mother, I thought that my creative journey was over with. And I was in a bit of a panic for a while for those first few years, changing all the diapers and not having any quiet time to dig deep and, you know, look for inspiration. Funny enough, I found my inspiration in the thing that haunted me forever, which was my nightmares. I now look at my dreams and my nightmares as, you know, inspiration for scripts. So I also think reaching out to people who are trying to process trauma or trying to stay sober, encouraging them that art and filmmaking and music making it's a great way to stay sober or to, you know, keep a level head and to process things. So art does heal. And for me, that's the only reason I'm still here. That's the only reason I made it through my crazy life in Los Angeles is, you know, music. Put on music. That always helps me when I'm not able to come up with any ideas for anything. Music always takes me back to my core and remember who I am.
Thank you, Jaja. Poke?
Can you give me the question again, please? I'm so sorry. My dog was just barking out there and I was like.
Encouraging words, inspirational words for women supporting women in the next generation.
You know, I feel like I'm like a baby filmmaker and I'm being inspired by all of you, hearing all of the stories and the struggles, but then the triumphs. And so you guys are inspiring me as well. And, you know, for a long time, I've been shooting and working on like sets here and there. And I just had this like incredible calling to do a project that's not going to erase my community, because that is coming for us in gentrification. And so I've been doing that, but also like now at my age, teaching like our little other little kids who want to be the next surfers, but also like letting them know, hey, there's a creative, you don't have to go to college. It's so expensive. You guys can be little creators. Let's start now. Like, you know, Jason Momoa is from this community. So, you know, and there's other directors and from this very Hawaiian community. So I'm just like giving them the exposure and inspiration, but also letting them touch my brand new red Komodo and water housing so that they can get the the mauli, the source of life and power, so that they can become the next storytellers. So there's my message, and thank you guys.
Yes. Woo. Paulette? Paulette?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just also beautiful hearing your messages. And I think that this alone will be so inspiring. Just young people or anybody, like you said, Jaja, you know, I'm not a young chicken anymore. And it is that creative source. We have a word, one of my favorite words in Mohawk is Gazat Stansaragoa Sa Oyera, which is that great intelligent energy that calls us, is so delighted when we show up and we add to our piece to it, which kind of takes the pressure off being like superstar, you know. It's just like all we're called to do is add into this narrative. And anytime I see someone who is taking that risk and that vulnerability of creating and sharing, I'm so touched. And so I'm so touched just being on this panel. So thank you, Jonelle, and thank you, all of you. I'm just so moved by your stories. A little bit clamped. So
Yeah.
a little bit clamped. So not a Mohawk word, but very descriptive.
I know, but it's a fun word.
It's a fun word.
That's an L word.
So Nyalagoa, say what go.
Michael?
All right. Wow. What can I say? It's an honor to be in this Zoom room with you all. I wish it was in person, because I am extremely moved and touched and inspired by such, you know, masterminds of your creative world. It comes out in your storytelling, and you know, and that's just a small window into the work that you all do and the lives that you all live, you know, and really such an inspiration. And we need more of that. And I'm so happy again to be a part of this group, because, you know, before I landed at the Indian Public Culture Center, I worked juvenile justice for 19 years. And when I retired from there, the last 10 years of my work there was working with Indigenous youth. And many of our young Indigenous ladies are so bright, so talented. They just need guidance, you know. And some of the young men, you know, of our Indigenous communities, they're, you know, they're with their arms crossed, you know, I'll figure it out, you know, and they're waiting for their time to engage with something. But I would, that's the difference that I would see, is that, you know, young ladies were craving some engagement, you know, at age 14, 15, 16, just to find something to really, you know, elevate them into the passion that they carry, you know, and to make something of themselves. And they need, you know, that inspiration. They need the role models. They need to hear these stories. They need to see that this work is all the way around them and that it's in every community. And so, you know, I salute you. My hat's off to you. My door is always open to you all. I am just so impressed, and I, you know, respect, and I'm so proud of the work that you all are doing. And any way that I can support, you know, please, you know, reach out, and I'd be happy to, you know, help in future endeavors and with whatever I can do. So thank you for including me and being a part of this.
Thank you, Michael. I want to just share one little thing. You know, I was on the Lilith Fair tour, and I was the only Native singer representing, and I learned one thing on the Lilith Fair tour with Sarah McLachlan, is that there weren't men. So I love that when we have our men supporting our women, it's the balance, right, that we need. So I love that you're here with us, Michael.
Yeah. That's an honor. It really is.
Rebecca?
Oh, well,
I mean, I think you have to be there has to be a little bit of craziness in you if you really want to make it, you know? And I think that, that you just have to persevere, you know, because I can't tell you how many studio executives we've gotten no's from, how many people we've been told, you know, this is a terrible idea. This isn't important. This isn't going to be seen by anyone, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so it's that determination, that perseverance, that little bit of like, it's kind of crazy, right? That you're like, I'm going to do this. And you have to hold on to that, because I go into my, 500th pitch with as much enthusiasm as I go into my first pitch with. And it may be that 500th person. And that seems like a lot of people to get rejection from and no's from, but it's just that one person that you talk to that will believe in you and make it possible. And I mean, I've sat around the table with so many men over the years who've talked down to me, who've, diminished my passion and the value that I bring to it. And then I start to believe that. But then I always look back and I'm like, wow, if I wasn't there, if I didn't exist, if I didn't bring my passion, this project wouldn't exist, and it wouldn't be touching these people's lives. So I think it's just really about being determined. And I love what you said, Madeline, about listening, because that's where I go to when I start to lose faith and I start to give up. That's exactly what I do. I listen, and I feel like I hear the guidance and the wisdom that I need that will help me overcome all of that rejection and self-doubt to be able to be of service, which I think is what we all really want to be here as artists and as filmmakers. We just want to be of service. We just want these stories to touch people's lives. And I think that that's great wisdom, is to listen and to not give up. Like Oprah says, don't take no from someone who can't give you a yes in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And with that said, I'd like to say, no is my revolution. When they say no to me, it's my revolution. And Rebecca, totally relate to, because, Red Nation Celebration Institute wouldn't have even launched 26 years ago if I listened to all the no's, right? It's like, and here we are, and look what we've created. And yesterday we had a conversation, and we had the writer, David, who wrote the King's Speech, and he shared something. He wouldn't give who the executive was, but it was the man is still running a high-powered studio. And he said that women-led films, all the studios across the board are not interested in. So we're here to change that. And I hope you hear that when you watch this, or who's ever watching this conversation series. We are all these women here. We're here to change that. So are my grandbabies. Okay. Ria.
Okay. Again, honored to be surrounded by all of you. Thank you. And I would say the thing that I was worried about most in the beginning was who's going to see this? Like, piggybacking on what Rebecca said, you will also be the only Indigenous person in the room or only woman in the room, and that can be taunting, very scary, but you are your own representation, and wear it proudly. I know that a lot of women have problems with speaking up just because it's not really encouraged in our climate or history, but don't be afraid. And if so, you'll get over it. Like, you are powerful, and you don't need anybody else's approval but your own and your community, your family. And yeah, people want to see what you want to make. Make films that you wanted to see as a child, as now, as whatever.
Yay. Yep. Okay, then here we go. I'm just so bad.
I'm sure you've got this.
Now I'm going to say Veronica, and it's not Veronica. I'm
You
not.
can call me Val. We can
Val.
shorten it.
Oh, bless you. Val.
Sorry, I forgot that's what
This is
people
not
call me.
disrespectful. This is just really, it's how my brain works. I'm extremely dyslexic. I see everything backwards. So
It's all right. No, it's a lot
I
of
do what I
things.
do.
It's
Yeah. Val.
Yeah. I also feel like, sometimes we carry so much baggage and weight on us that doesn't let us make this next step, right? And I think like you just gotta leave that out of the door and just go and do the next project, or go pitch to those people, or go and sit in the room full of men and just, stay true to yourself, stay resilient, but also look out for each other. I feel like often because you're so concerned of your own, just trying to make it happen, at least for yourself, so then you can have a means to hopefully help it happen for everyone. Just, look for each other, look for your female allies, and also don't feel responsible that you need to tell every single woman's story that's ever lived. I think your own story is enough, and your own story matters.
Well, I just want to say this has been a powerful conversation, and I love you all for participating. I love you more because you have created what you've created, and to continue to create. And I'm inspired by all of you. This conversation will live with me for the days to come moving forward. And when I have a low day, I will think of this conversation that we had today to inspire me to continue on. So I want to thank everyone of you that's out there watching and viewing this conversation, and continue to support women supporting women, and in our as creative content creatives. And you can view all of these gorgeous films on our festival until November 30th on rednationff.com. And if you are a behind the scenes, below the line creative, go to Kruvi.com and sign up on our RNCI crew page. Or is it not a page, but what do you call the
Banner.
Banner.
Tab, yeah.
Yeah, the tab. And your crew that you have that's indigenous on each one of your films, let them know to sign up on Kruvi under RNCI crew. They may be hired on some big film. You just never know what magic happens. And when you're in New Mexico, I encourage everyone that's listening and all of our filmmakers here to visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. It's a magic place, and it's filled with such beauty of our Pueblo relatives and artists. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we are continuing on with our festival until November 30th during our American Indian Heritage Month, part of and inclusive of the 26th Red Nation International Film Festival. I'll see you at the movies.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.